All right, picture this. You're standing on the rooftop of a hospital wearing bright blue silk wings, announcing to the world that you are about to take flight. People are gathered, jaws dropped, waiting to witness what could be the greatest miracle or the worst miscalculation of physics. And then, splat. No miracle today. That's how this story begins. Intrigued? Buckle up, because this one is a ride. So in a small unnamed town in Michigan, an insurance agent named Robert Smith believes he can fly. He leaps off the roof of Mercy Hospital, claiming he'll soar across Lake Superior. Spoiler alert, he does not. Instead, he plummets to his death, setting off a chain of events that will span generations. But on that very same day, inside Mercy Hospital, something equally miraculous happens. The first Black child is born there. His name? Milkman Dead. Yes, you heard that right. Milkman. And trust me, that's just the beginning of the unusual names in this book. Milkman, whose actual name is Milkman Dead III, grows up in a family that is both wealthy and deeply dysfunctional. His father, Milkman Dead II, aka Milkman Jr., is a ruthless, money-obsessed landlord. His mother, Ruth, clings to her past. His aunt, Pilot, is this fascinating, free-spirited woman who has no navel. Yes, no belly button. Don't ask too many questions just yet.
Thank you, but I prefer it my way.
Milkman is also surrounded by his two sisters, 1 Corinthians and Magdalene, also known as Lena, and his devoted but ultimately heartbroken lover-slash-cousin, Hagar. Oh, and let's not forget his best friend, Guitar Baines. He seems cool at first, until we learn he's part of a secret society that kills white people to balance racial injustices. Yikes.
Don't say that.
From a young age, Milkman realizes something that changes his whole life. Humans cannot fly. And with that realization, he loses interest in everything and everyone. He grows up pampered and entitled, ignoring the love and care from the women around him, becoming just as emotionally detached as his father. Then comes the big turning point. One day, his father tells him about a supposed stash of gold hidden in Pilot's house, wrapped up in a green tarp. Naturally, Milkman and Guitar decide to steal it. Classic bad decision. When they break in, they don't find gold, just a bunch of rocks and a skeleton. The skeleton, as we later find out, is actually Milkman's grandfather, Milkman Dead I, who was murdered for owning land that white neighbors were jealous of.
That's a really bad sign.
But Milkman isn't ready to give up on this gold just yet. His father had also mentioned a cave near their old family farm in Pennsylvania, so off he goes in search of fortune. Of course, he tells Guitar he'll share the wealth, but Guitar, already suspicious, begins to believe Milkman is trying to cheat him. That's when their friendship takes a very sharp, very dangerous turn. In Pennsylvania, Milkman finds no gold. Instead, he stumbles onto something far more valuable, his family's history. He meets an elderly midwife named Circe, who gives him crucial information. He learns that his grandfather's real name was Jake, and that he was married to a Native American woman named Singh. Intrigued, Milkman continues his search and heads to Shalimar, Virginia, the true roots of his family.
I want to know where to go. I want to go. Give me the gold. I want to go.
Now here's where things get truly mystical. In Shalimar, he discovers that his great-grandfather Solomon was a legend. And not just any legend, he was the legendary flying African. Yes, according to local folklore, Solomon literally flew back to Africa, escaping slavery. But in doing so, he left behind his wife, Rhina, and their 21 children, including Milkman's grandfather, Jake. This abandonment shattered the family for generations.
You know what? He just left.
Milkman, finally understanding who he is and where he comes from, undergoes a transformation. For the first time, he feels free. But just when things seem to be falling into place, Guitar, who has been tracking him all this time, tries to kill him, convinced that Milkman found the gold and kept it for himself. Despite this, Milkman returns home with a newfound purpose to share his discoveries. But tragedy strikes again. He arrives only to find that Hagar, heartbroken over his rejection, has died. Meanwhile, his Aunt Pilot, who had been his spiritual guide all along, accompanies him back to Shalimar to bury Jake's remains at Solomon's Leap, the very mountain from which Solomon supposedly took flight. But just as they complete their mission, Guitar fires a shot and Pilot is killed.
Oh no.
In the final moments of the book, Milkman, filled with grief, yet finally understanding the power of his ancestors, does something extraordinary. He calls out to Guitar and leaps toward him. Does he fly? Does he fall? Toni Morrison leaves that to us to decide.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
And that, my friends, is Song of Solomon, Toni Morrison's third novel, published in 1977. What a ride, right?
And if you like it and you want it, you'll get greedy for it.
Now let's talk about why this book is so incredible. First off, Morrison blends realism and surrealism in a way that makes you question what's real and what's mythical. The symbolism of flight is just chef's kiss. It's both literal and metaphorical, representing escape, freedom, and generational trauma. Milkman's journey isn't just about finding gold. It's about self-discovery, about reconnecting with the past to understand the present. Another thing I love is Morrison's ability to craft deeply flawed yet fascinating characters. Milkman is selfish, clueless, and frustrating, but by the end you root for him. Pilot, easily one of the best literary characters of all time. And the women in this book, they carry the emotional weight of the story, even when they're cast aside by the men. This book is a masterpiece. It's no surprise that Morrison won the Nobel Prize in 1993. If you haven't read it yet, what are you waiting for? It's a book that stays with you long after you turn the last page. I'll leave a link for you to get a copy in the description. That's it for today's deep dive into Song of Solomon. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on the book or any other Morrison novel you love. Thanks for watching, and as always, happy reading.